Hey guys, Juan and Angelica back for another episode, and this one might be a little random because I think we had the idea to record earlier, and then all of a sudden when we get in here after eating a heavy dinner, we're kind of like,
Yeah, they were baked
not really
potatoes.
sure what to talk about.
They weren't that heavy. They were just baked potatoes, and it's been a while since we have ate. Because earlier, what did we make earlier? It was rice and
Rice and chicken. Like curry chicken of some sort.
We've had a lot of starch today, and I don't think we've been used to it because we've been saving like one starch per day. You know, like we'll have some rice, or we'll have potato, or we'll have like something else. You know what I mean? We're just not used to it.
We've been trying to keep it moderately healthy throughout this pandemic.
Why are you yelling?
I'm yelling?
Yeah, I think your mic is really loud. But I think I don't think we're trying to keep it healthy. I think we're not used to eating at home and making all our meals. So we make one heavy meal throughout the day, but then we'll like snack or pick on the food.
But I kind of like cooking at home. Like I feel like it's been a break. Like, so I normally wouldn't cook that much, but lately I have been getting up here and there to like cook a meal or two because I'm like, I feel like it's a break away from my like off
routine.
Computer and away from my like work routine, and I'm like, you know what, I'm just gonna go and like play some music and make something to eat. And that I know that's gonna take me at least an hour, so I'm like, it'll be like my lunch break.
You make it sound fun. It's not. I don't find the kitchen fun.
That's what I'm saying. Like I find it like
necessary.
Like I asked on today, I was like, what thing are you learning as you're like, what's one thing that you've learned as you're social distancing? And I think the one thing that not that I'm learning, but I think I'm like getting more confident about is like cooking.
Really?
Like, I feel like I'm like, oh, okay. Like, I'm like, oh, okay. Well, if I mix this with that, it's not gonna. I'm like, like not that I know how to cook, but now I'm like, feel a little bit more like confident about like, oh, okay. I kind of know what goes with what.
Yeah.
So
I'm completely comfortable in the kitchen. I don't like being in there too much. And the thing is that because it takes up a lot of your time, like cooking takes up a lot of your time, and then our kitchen isn't that like, not that I'm complaining because we have a kitchen, but we have this island.
I like the island.
We have this island like dead center in the middle of the kitchen, and it is my goal to eventually remove that island. I do not like that island. It's just in the way. It's bulky. It's like I don't enjoy the kitchen because of it.
Well, see, I grew up never having an island, so
Neither
like to
did
me, like I would watch.
I didn't have an island either.
But to me, I would watch TV shows and they would have an island, and I'd be like, oh, like that's so like it's so like not like it's very like middle class, like
An
I don't know.
island?
I don't know.
Middle
It was
class?
just like something about it like makes me feel like it's like, and not even middle class. I feel like it's like like very like Brady Bunch, like Partridge Family, kind of like
homey.
Yeah,
Feels like a home because you have an island.
I don't know. It feels like something like it's a cozy,
Traditional?
like it's very cozy, like it's a cozy kitchen or something. I don't know why, and I think
It's in the way.
I think because I grew up watching it on
and then
TV
here's
and
the
other
problem.
shows,
That
but I
island-
never had one.
So I don't mind the island. The problem with the island that we have, it's too big and it's bolted down to the ground because it's built into like the floor.
I like it.
I'm sorry to tell you, but that island is leaving us. It's departing us eventually.
No.
Yes, it is. Yeah, no, this is not even. It's not like I'm not asking you. I'm kind of forewarning you. It's going to happen. Shake your head all you want.
It'll be a very dark day in this house.
You know what? I'll put it in the back for you. You can visit the island often.
No, I mean, but
Okay, but yeah. So, anyways, but you were saying that one of the things that you're comfortable in is around the kitchen, and you like the kitchen.
Yeah, like I feel like, not that I'm like really comfortable in it, but I feel like I'm like, oh, okay. Like I did grow up in a household where there was always cooking happening, and like something was always being put on.
Something was always in the kitchen happening, going on.
You always like, you're like, oh, what's in the pantry? Like, what can I make with the like potatoes and this, like random stuff? And, like,
say what you were trying to do today. Say what you were trying to put together with potatoes, please.
I was trying to make potato salad with tuna. Which I think is a thing, isn't it a thing?
Look,
like I feel like potato salad with tuna is a thing. Like I think I've had it somewhere before, and I feel like it's a thing. But I was like, I thought about it, and I was like, you know what sounds like good like boiled potatoes with like mayonnaise and mustard, and then tuna salad, like a tuna salad, potato salad.
Tuna potato salad. Tuna hash.
And I was like, that
salad.
kind of sounds pretty good. And then I went and I asked you, and I was like, hey, how do you make tuna potato salad?
Tuna salad is one thing.
And you were like, no, you don't make that.
Potato salad is another thing. But you kept trying to add tuna fish to potatoes. I'm like, can you think of the texture, please? And I'm sure there's dishes out there that have tuna fish and that have potatoes. I personally it does not fit for me, right? Mm-hmm. Like if I had like tuna in some form and then I had potato in another form and they were around the same dish, then that's not a problem. But if you're trying to put potatoes and tuna fish together, like to me it sounds like a patty. Like it sounds like something completely else.
I'm convinced that I've had this before, and I'm convinced that it's good. So, but today we were like, we didn't make that. We made just baked potatoes.
Yeah.
Which I was like, that's fine, but I'm convinced that potato salad with tuna is a thing. So I'm like, I'm gonna have to like ask around, and
you're gonna have to ask around.
I almost went and looked on a recipe, and I was like, is there such a thing? But
yes, I'm sure there is. I'm more than positive there is. It's just for me, the textures together, and because you kept trying to boil potatoes and put the tuna fish in it. You're like, Angelica, there has to be something with potato, boiled potato and tuna.
The way I remember it is kind of like it's a potato, like chopped, like boiled, chopped up, and then put with a lot of like stuff on there. Like I don't know if it's mayonnaise and what other stuff they put on there, and egg, I think.
But
and
then
they also put tuna. Yeah,
I can see why you think it goes together, because there's such thing as a tuna fish salad, and there's such thing as a potato salad that have kind of sort of the same ingredients. For me, you kept insisting. And you wouldn't leave the room. And you're like, so what can I make? And I was like, nothing. I was like, either make one or the other. And you're like, no. But what can I make together? And I'm like, nothing. And you're like, you stood there for a while. And you're like, no, but there's something out there. I'm like, oh my, nothing. Please.
I just didn't want potatoes. I was like, I just didn't want baked potatoes. I was like, I don't know about baked potatoes. Because we didn't have any, we only had bacon bits. So I was like, like baked potato with no meat.
I know, and it's one of the things I keep trying to tell you, that you don't have to have meat in every dish, and it's difficult when you like yourself, Juan, you grew up eating meat in every dish.
That's what I'm saying. Like there was always something happening in the kitchen, and there was always like meat on the plate. So I'm like, I feel like there always should be meat on the plate.
Yeah.
But I think this is a good kind of segue into what I guess we can talk about.
Okay.
We weren't like just talking about food, but but I think that one of the things that I was thinking about, and I'm a little bit nervous about this conversation, honestly.
Oh my God! Okay.
Because I think you've tried to bring it up to me before, and I think before I was the one that didn't want to really have the conversation.
Okay.
And now I'm like, okay, like maybe we can talk a little bit about it. So we'll see where this goes. So if this goes south, this may never see the light of day. So.
Oh no, I'm scared. All right, you know what? Just get into it. I gotta hear what this is about, please.
No, but I wanted to ask you. Do you think that since you've been with me, are there things from me that have rubbed off on you? And do you think? Well, let's start there. Do you think that certain things that I do, or certain characteristics or behavior, whatever you want to call it, do you think anything has rubbed off on you?
Characteristics that you do that have rubbed off on you.
Mañas, habits, anything that you can think of that has rubbed off on you, good or bad. Because we've been together for
way too long.
A long time. 16, 17 years.
It's been a while. But I think one of the things that has rubbed off on me is the the staying relatively closely together. Like I was very, and I still am, very independent. But even my family, my sisters, they're all very independent. But when I make choices, I'm always thinking, and it's not a bad thing or good thing, but I feel like even small, minute choices, I've become and have made the habit of making those choices based on conversations that we've had, and making sure I keep you in the loop And it's again, it's not like a habit, but I've been so used to being, I was so used to being completely independent and making my choices, whether they were bad or good, like all my own, because I was able to make those choices. And then like on the flip side of that, like when I do make choices based on conversations that we've had, even when it's my gut instinct, even when like deep down in my gut, it's something tells me that the choice we're making is not right. I fight it, and I'm like, no, because we've had the conversation, and this is the way we've agreed, or he has said, or we were doing together. And then when it goes south for us, like those choices that we've made partly in because we've come to an agreement, or we're trying to find the middle ground, and it has gone south for us, I get so freaking mad and upset to the point where I'm like, I knew it deep down in my gut, I knew it, and it's so frustrated.
Okay,
I get so mad.
So you're saying like closeness is one. Well, what else?
I don't know how you got all that from that, but yeah.
But what else? But what other things do you think? Do you think anything like any behaviors have rubbed off on you? Like any habits of mine, or any like? I can't.
You go. Like I'm trying to think, but I'm not sure. What? What's so funny?
No, I'm just wondering because I'm like, I think like for me, like I think probably one of the things that's rubbed off on me from you is like what we were talking about last time about like being a little bit more like I wouldn't say logical. I would say more like.
Oh, I'm not logical.
No, not that I wasn't logical before, but I'm saying just being a little bit more. I think usually you're the type of person that when you encounter a situation, you generally are able to like pull back and like think about it, and like think about what you're gonna do or think about what you're gonna say,
okay,
and then say it. And I think like not all the time, but you're looking at me like what?
Where are you going with this?
Like I think for the most part, like I feel like I would come to you a lot to ask for like your advice because I felt like you always had like a different perspective from what I thought. So I feel like in a way because I've come to you so many times now, like asking for your thoughts or your opinions, that I feel like not that my opinions are yours, but I feel like the way I process now is similar to the way you process. Like that thought process of like going through like where we talk things out. Then now when I think about stuff, like when I have a dilemma, big or small, like I can kind of go through the motions now on my own and be like, okay, well, are you thinking about this? Are you thinking about that? Are you being too naive? Are you being blah, blah, blah? You're being da, da, da. And I feel like in that way, like I think that's one thing that I can point to. And I was like, yeah, I don't think I was ever that like thoughtful about my reactions. Like I think I would just, whatever my reaction was, that's what my reaction was.
And you just went with it.
And I just went with it. And I don't feel like I understood like my reactions like a lot. Like I just felt a certain way, but I didn't know why. And I feel like from you, I've learned like to kind of unwrap a little bit of why are you feeling like that? What's that about?
I'm trying to understand like where you're going with it. I'm trying to understand like what you're saying.
About?
Like, okay, so I guess the habit was that I guess.
Well, no, I said like it's not necessarily a habit, just like a behavior, like good or bad. But this is just one thing that I think I can think about it, and I'm like, yeah, like that's one thing that I recognize that, you know, you've kind of like rubbed off on me.
I think I see what you're saying. I'm trying to think of instances where I would go back and forth with myself about things, and a lot of the times I'm always. I thought
you were gonna say I was thinking about instances where I learned anything from you.
No, and I'm trying to think. I think with me, it's a lot of planning, a lot of the times, and I plan it out for its end goal, and so I try to think about whether that's logistics, whether that's what we're trying, like what the achievement is trying to be. And achievement doesn't have to be success all the time. It just has to be like it has to have like a something tangible at the end, and it's always that. So even for like road trips.
Well, I think that's like you just made me think an example. Like you remember when we went to go see my sister and she had her baby and Sophia, and like I crashed into the glass door. Because I was like all lost in my head, and I was like excited, and I was like, we were going to the hospital, and
we had walked out.
Yeah, and like next thing you know,
the car garage. Yeah,
I like just crashed into the thing.
You slammed into
the thing,
into the glass wall.
And like I feel like that's typical me. Like that's typical like behavior, like where I'm get so lost in my own thoughts that I don't react like quickly. And I think you like you said, like even for road trips, you're like planning out like, well, if we do this, if we take this route, then we blah blah blah, or if I take that route, then da 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 da. So like you reason a lot more.
And sometimes it's excessive too.
Yeah, and I think like now, like when I think about stuff like that, like even like a road trip, for example, like I do think about those things now too. Like, oh, well, maybe if I do it this way, or maybe if I do it that way, or maybe da 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 da, or like like I make sense of things a little bit more.
Yeah, but then I always do the part where I do doom, right? It's a worst case scenario, and so I always plan around that. And it's difficult sometimes because my head just goes there, like worst case scenario, and I don't mean it to go there, but because of worst case scenario, I always plan things out. But I mean, I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying, and I think let it be your partner who was always giving you the hardest time, and I think that's definitely me. I am the partner who does give you a very hard time when it comes to situations and things, and and the thing is that a lot of what I think and what I do is not logical. It's not, it has no logic to it. I do it based on feeling.
On instinct, I would say.
Instinct and feeling. Like, does it feel right? Does it feel wrong? Should I not? And that has, in the past, even now a little bit, I feel like that has gotten me into some trouble. Because even though I'm very good at personal relationships, one of the things that I might not be the best at, and which is what you're good at, is I'm good at interpersonal relationships. But one of the things you're good at is like business relationships. And so when it comes to like business and the task at hand for businesses, I mean, I get it done. Always. I always try to do above and beyond to get things done. But the problem is that it takes me a while to get it done. And it takes up a lot of headspace, and it's too much because it's a certain way. And worst case scenario is always like at the top of my mind. And I'm always planning for the worst case scenario. And I'm always trying to, that's the way I work. And so in a business, worst case scenario isn't something that crisis communication isn't something that people like to like look at or look forward to and things like that. And so they just want, they want the work done. You know what I mean? And me, I'm like, okay, we can do the work, but you need this and this needs to happen. And what about this conversation? And what about that? And what about here? And what about your creative? And what about you're missing out on all these things that you can be,
so
for the clients and customers.
So you think maybe on the follow through, like you're a little bit more?
I am.
Yeah.
Yeah, following through is difficult for me because of that, because I'm always thinking worst case scenario. And so I'm always planning for the worst case scenario. But I think with you, I've told you before, and we've had this conversation before where I've told you, if you were to have anybody on your team, I think to get it done, it would be somebody like you.
But do you think that kind of has rubbed off on you, like a little bit?
Like the workhorse situation? Yeah, like for example, today, I had an idea, and one of the things you're very impulsive, and one of the things that I've learned, like if you don't do it, it's not going to get done. Just do it. Once you do it, and when I go back to business, like I've said before, that when you need somebody like on your team, you need somebody like you. Like if somebody says the work needs to get done because it has to get done, it's going to get done. And you're the kind of person who will push and push. You're like that workhorse. You're just like that person who just does it and does it and doesn't until it's done. And like I said before, like even if we can foresee that it's not going to work out for you, you're like, look, I've committed to this. This is what I was told I need to do. This is what I'm going to do. And you will, kicking and screaming, will drag me to that end result. And then I can see, you know, the achievement of it getting done, and the achievement of patting yourself on the back and being like, it's done. Whatever it was, it got done.
Mm-hmm. But I can see a little bit of that. Like, I can see like that, like a little bit more of that, like in you, that you're like, that you follow through a lot more on stuff now than when, like, at the beginning.
Yeah.
You know, I think that you, like, now you're like, you can, like, if you say you're going to do something, I'm like, yeah, she's probably going to do it. Because because I'm like, I think feel like, and I'm like, oh, I wonder, like, and I just thought, like, that's one thing that's rubbed off on you from us. But, you know, I think part of the, like, conversation too is, like, part of it is communication, right? Like, part of it is, like, understanding how to communicate with each other better. Right? Because I think that's a process, and it's been a process for us, and I think we're still in the process of trying to figure out how to communicate better with each other, and how to, like,
I think the order we
understand each other.
Well, here's the thing:
because
the order
it's
we
complicated,
get,
like, you know.
Excuse me. I think the order we get is the order we get. We understand what we want, and it changes, and sometimes it's small tweaks that that either one of us didn't understand that tweak was going to be a nuisance to you, but it's necessary for me. And it can be very small things, and it can those little small things, those little nuts and bolts can disassemble everything. And so I think it is a lot of part of communication, and I think that didn't come to us naturally at all. Communication.
Well, that's what I was going to talk about. Like, how do we kind of get to a better place in terms of just communicating? Yeah. Because I think it has been a long process. It's been, like, I mean, you know, I think we've, you know, when you think about, like, the things that, like, people that communicate poorly do, I think we've done probably all of them.
Oh yeah, we surpassed it. We did every box checked. We checked them all. And I think,
like, I still don't think that we're the best communicators, but I think that we're, like, in a much better place than when we started down this path of trying to, like, better understand each other. Because I think it was a decision at one point that we had to make, like, are we going to try to understand each other better, or are we just going to, like, continue fighting like cats and dogs?
I think I think we still do. We still have arguments over simple, childish things sometimes. But then there's deep-rooted situations and things like that to it, which is why we fight like cats and dogs sometimes. But I think it didn't come easy to us. It was very difficult up until about 4 years ago. Yeah. About 4 years ago, when we understood, we were like, this is stupid. Like, either we make this work or we don't. And it wasn't, you're wasting your time, I'm wasting my time, we're wasting everybody's time. And at that point, we were invested in each other's lives.
Yeah. Well, I think the crazy part is that neither one of us knew, like, how bad it was for the other one. Like, neither one of us really knew, like, where the other one really was in terms of, like, how, in terms of the poor communication. Like, and so, you know, we like started going to this, like, we went to a retreat, right? We went to, like, we
went to a couples retreat.
A couples retreat, like a Catholic retreat. And it was, like, faith-based, and we went and you know, we did it. And I don't think when we went into it, we really understood, like, how, like, bad of a situation we were in yet. Or at least I didn't. Yeah. And then when we came out of it, I was like, okay, like, yeah, like, I think I can see what, you know, kind of what they're saying.
Can I be honest?
Yeah.
Why am I always saying that? That's like my line on this podcast. Can I be honest? Yeah. I thought it was stupid. And that sounds so stupid to me right now. Even saying it now, I was like, that was pointless. What was that? I was like, I was dragged into it, and I didn't want to be there. And this was,
And I was like, this is for, like, this is just like a thing to try to make husbands submissive to their wives.
I thought something along the lines, like, they just want women to listen to their man. Whatever, get out of here with that stuff. But and it's not like that. Like, oh my God, we would have so many arguments over dumb things, and I'm a very, like, to me, it's not I'm not like a feminist, but I'm a person of like reason. And so to me, reason makes sense. And so sometimes it can sound off a little bit of feminist. You know what I mean? I am a feminist, but not in those aspects. You know what I mean? And so I was like, I can't. Okay, so let me cut that off because I can complain about it, but I don't want to.
Well, let me jump in real quick because I think I always think back to the analogy, and then I think it's stupid. Like women are from Venus, men are from Mars. But I'm like, I feel like it's true, even though it sounds stupid.
Cliche.
Like, because I feel like, that was the thing that really we had to understand that, like, that when you were saying things to me and I was taking them a certain way, and I was saying things to you and I was doing things and you were like taking them a certain way, and then. Like you would tell me like, this is what, like, I feel like this, and I would tell you like, but not in those words, like, and then I would tell you I feel like that, and then we would just be like, you're crazy, or like, we were just like we could never like get to a point where we saw like not eye to eye, but where we were like at least
we were treating each other based on our prejudgments.
Level playing field.
Yeah, we were treating each other based on our prejudgments of each other already. We assumed things very much, and we kept reacting to the things that we would assume of each other. And I think that was a big, and it's still a big part of our problem right now. I think, and the thing is that we're both very hard-headed. Somos bien cabezones, like we.
I was telling a friend that the other day. I was like, well, no, you'd be surprised. Like, we're both very stubborn people.
Yeah, we are very stubborn.
And they were like, really? Like, I don't see that. And I was like, no, it's because we don't like we try not to like fight in public, but
we try. It happens.
We try not to argue in public.
Yeah.
Although some friends will tell you that that's not true.
We've gotten very comfortable with some friends, and we absolutely don't mind them listening to us bicker. But I think, I think sometimes we and it's not meant. We don't mean it in a very malicious way, but when you see it your way and I see it my way, it's the problem that we have is that neither one of us likes to fold easily. And so because of our stubbornness, situations can get out of hand longer than they need to.
And I think regardless of whether it's us or other people, because we've like part of what we did with this like retreat is that it then extended to like where we built friendships with other couples, and we still get together every once in a while with the couples that kind of went through this and are part of this community. And one of the things that I think is really helpful is to hear from other people, like other couples. Like, do
you feel like it's helpful for you to hear from other men?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's helpful, but I think it's like just hearing them. Like, I feel like more like to me, it's more helpful to hear like the couples, like when they talk about their issues, and then I'm like, oh, like it's the same thing. They're just in a different, like they're just arguing about something different. Like they're arguing about like other topics, or they're not coming to an agreement about other topics, but at the end of the day, like the interests are about the same.
The interest?
Well, not the interest, but like
the problems,
where they're coming from.
The problems are the same.
Yeah.
Situations are different. Their situations are different, but the needs that are not being met typically are the same needs that we all want. And a lot of it is just, a lot of the needs are kind of things like people, what was that one, the last one that we did, the autonomy, do you remember them?
Oh gosh, I don't remember them.
Oh my god, we did the talk on that one too.
Yeah.
I think, but one of them was like being autonomous. Another one was being able to
self-love.
Self-esteem.
Self-esteem, self-love. And I forgot what the other ones were, but
yeah. So to be for your relationship, those 4 things are the things that people want and need in the relationship. So if you're missing one of those things, the relationship's going to be different. So a lot of that is, it's self-work, but you want to be able to feel that from the other person. And for you to be able to communicate to the other person, this is what I need and this is what I'm missing, you have to be able to understand yourself, because how can you delegate or how can you explain to somebody what you need if you yourself don't understand what you need?